All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to our workshop today. Today we are continuing our Spaces workshop from last week, and we're going to continue looking at some of the capabilities and cross-management, how to manage your spaces. I'm definitely thrilled to have you all join again in today's session. Just to reiterate, our workshops are every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can view all of our sessions in advance at birdviewpsa.com/events, where we post all of the sessions in advance, so you can sign up for multiple sessions ahead of time. I would love to see you at as many sessions as possible. Again, whether it is to brush up on your Birdview skills or to discover any valuable tips and tricks for maximizing the effectiveness of your project management needs through Birdview. Each session, we do kick off with hands-on demo on the featured project. And again, today's topic is on spaces. The last 10 minutes are typically reserved for questions and concerns or any questions that you may have, as well as just a brief overview on the upcoming topics for the month. So please feel free to share your thoughts and questions in the Q&A chat box. Our agenda for today, oops, too fast. Our agenda for today is going to be spaces. So for those of you who are new, I will do a quick overview on what spaces are and understanding what they can do. Then we'll dive into our cross-management topics, which is how to manage projects, members' permissions, workflows, and custom fields. While we're talking about those, we'll discuss all the good things that the spaces can do, as well as some of the limitations that are currently in the system. And then finally, upcoming events for the next 2 to 3 weeks. All right, so let's get started. So what spaces are? So again, for those of you who are new, spaces are basically dedicated instances within your Birdview account that are designed for your teams. Each space can be equipped with its own set of members or users who can collaborate and engage in project work seamlessly, so there are no distractions. And by distractions, what I mean is any projects or activities that users don't need to work on, but they are still able to view just because of the permissions. Each space is customizable to cater to your specific requirements, whether it is team-based spaces, regional offices, or extensive or long-term projects that require specific attention. So this may sound very similar to portfolios, but the primary difference between spaces and portfolios is that spaces provide a heightened confidentiality for your projects. So what it does, it allows you as a project manager to effectively manage members, their permissions specific to the projects or even the space, custom fields, and workflows. This helps you and the administrator to make sure your global company settings is not cluttered, right? To put it simply, currently, all of your projects, regardless of your teams, are consolidated into a single activity center, right? So admins are able to set access level, granting users the project visibility based on those permissions. Oftentimes, what happens is some users or some access levels have overlapping permissions, which results in users having visibility for more projects than necessary. Spaces resolves this issue by organizing projects and settings into distinct spaces, its own little space, eliminating the redundant visibility and facilitating effective team collaboration and project delivery. So as a team member, as a team itself, you can eliminate all those distractions and you can solely focus on the projects that your team is responsible for. So let's take an example, okay? let's say that you are an engineering firm and you have a project that flows through various departments. So some of the departments are sales, which is typically at the initiation. Then we've got project management. Once the contract and the proposal and the different aspects like the budget and the project plan are all confirmed, that contract or that project now flows into design. Once design is completed, it then flows into development, inspection, and lastly, shipping. So in the current instance, like without spaces, you would have to create a new project at each and every phase or team, right? What spaces allow you to do is you can create a project at the sales stage. Once that's done, that sales project can now be easily moved into project management phase. It will retain all the information that the sales team has input in that particular project, and so on and so forth, right? So what will happen is you will have one-stop shop, that one project with all the comprehensive information from the initiation, which is the sales, all the way to shipping. So that way you can take this project and do a retrospective analysis without going through different projects to gather all the information. I hope that makes sense. So for the purposes of this demo, I will be using two different distinctions to separate global settings as well as the space-specific settings. So for company settings, I will use global settings as a word, and space will be space-specific settings. All right, so let's bring out our instance here. So this is my demo instance that I typically use for demonstrating the topics for the day. So this is what your space currently looks like, or your activity center, right? When you log in into Birdview for the first time, this is what it's going to look like. And you will notice that the activity center is now at the bottom, center to the bottom left pane. So just for your visual reference, the top left pane right here, these options are specific to project managers, admins. The center to bottom ones are specific to the users, as well as the top right corner here where it says time logs, my assignments, approval requests, and notifications are user specific as well. Of course, and the time log history on the left pane here is also available to all the users. However, resources, reports, dashboards, and business intelligence, if you have access to it, are going to be very specific to administrators and project managers or any other access level your organization has. All right, so let's dive into cross spaces management. My apologies. The very first thing is projects, right? So as you can see, we have two projects here already designated, and we have assignees that are assigned to them. So to move projects, like I said, it is very easy to move projects. There's three ways in which you can do. One is click on the project details, or I already had that. Come on. Here we go. So in your project details, you can simply click on three ellipses on the right and say move to space. You can also do that directly at the project level here by clicking on three ellipses right beside the details and say move to space. And lastly, if let's say you have multiple projects that you want to move from one space to another, you can simply click on this, two projects, and say move to space. So it is very easy to move projects between spaces, right? So let's move this space right here, or this project, into a different space. Let's say main. So I'm going to say move. Notice it will give you a notification that all space level custom fields and workflow will become global ones. So the moment you move a project from one space to another, they will become global. And I'll say move regardless of that. Awesome. So now if you go into main space, you're going to see that the project is now here. So let's take that off, and here we go. Awesome. So that is one way. That's the way you can actually move projects from one space to another. Notice that you cannot just move activities. Notice that you do not have that option here, move to space. It's only project level, which means you can only move all of the project or nothing. So that's one of the limitations. But then again, I'm pretty sure if, let's say, you're moving a project, you want to move the whole thing and not just very specific activities. All right, so let's talk about workflows and custom fields. So again, as a space, remember how I said that we're going to be using two different terminologies. One is company settings, which is global settings, and space settings will be within space specific, right? So what I can do is let's go into our Tuesday space. To access space level settings, you can simply click on the gear icon and it will take you to this settings, which is very specific to the space. So here, let's talk about workflows. So as I previously mentioned, you can add workflows and custom fields and even members that are available at the global level, right? So anything that you have in the global settings, company settings, will automatically populate here. So you can select if you want to use those workflows. Let's say, okay, let's say if I want to add, I don't know, DS test workflow, I'll go here and voila, I can start using this for my projects. However, I can create a new workflow by clicking add workflow. So for the sake of this, I'll just add in progress, and let's say this January 16 workflow, just so we can differentiate it. Okay, we're going to click outside to make sure it is nicely saved, and let's close. Notice that January 16 workflow is here. However, if I go into my global or company settings and let's go workflows, you will not see that custom workflow in here, right? So that is great because now I'm not tampering with my the global settings here. But if, let's say, I go into a project and assign, let's go activity center. And I'm going to click on the project details to add this workflow or to assign this workflow to this project. January 16 workflow. Perfect. Now let's say I want to move this to a different space. Let's say I want to move it to test space. And I'll say move. The moment you will move this project, the custom fields and the workflows will automatically become global. So it doesn't matter if you're moving this project into a test project, into a particular space or even a main space. The moment it's being moved, it will become global. So again, that is, I consider, a little bit of a limitation there, because if you're moving projects from one space to another throughout its life or phases, it will become global. Eventually, it will end up in my company settings. So again, this is the initial phase. There will be future updates to spaces, and eventually we might be able to eliminate this so that it doesn't become global automatically. It can move between spaces easily, but that's something that we can discuss in the future. But January 16th workflow is right here. Same thing goes for custom fields as well as members. So if I go back in here into the space settings, members. So members, you can add members from an existing list, or you can add a new member who's going to be very specific to this space. Do note, you have to have a free license available in your company settings to be able to add a new member. if you have used all of your licenses, you go into company settings and users, and let's say you have used all of your all 10 of 10 licenses, the system will prevent you from adding another user, right? So let's say, as an example, we'll click on Manish here, and we're going to say can login. All right, so now I've used all of them. Now if I go back and try to add member or invite a member, so you'll see this member or user won't be able to log in because there are no more license seats. So you'll get that notification immediately. Now you can set them up. The system won't prevent you from setting them up, but they can't actively work on the projects. So it's very similar to, having users in the list, but they are inactive. All right, so similar to how we had moved projects, when you move these projects into a different space, all of the members are automatically assigned to them. So if I go into test space, let's add another user, let's say Melissa Norway, right? And I'm going to take this project and move it to my test project or Tuesday project and move. Notice that the user has automatically been created in the system the moment you move them over. So this list right here, we did not have Melissa, but now we have Melissa in there as well, right? Or any other user that does not belong to a space, they will automatically be added to the space once you move them. Now, if you want to delete them, you can certainly do that. So I'll go ahead and delete Melissa because in this particular space, I don't need her. So the user Melissa will be removed from this space, but she will still stay globally. So we're going to say remove. So deleting a user here does not automatically delete a user in your company settings here. The other thing I wanted to mention also, and just kind of a refresher from last session, is let's say Alyssa Southgate in this case is a project manager, and she's a project manager in the global setting. You can come here and further define that, you know what, I don't need Alyssa as a project manager, but as a business analyst. So I can come here into the space settings and members, and I can actually revise that access level here. So notice how it says, set business access level for Alyssa from project manager. Yes, this will only change the access level for this space. Changing access level in the space level will not update permissions or access level at global space. So you are safe to manage space specific permissions for your team members. The account level access roles and roles in other spaces will not be changed. So that's great, right? Because that is exactly what we want. We only want to manage Alyssa's permission in this particular space, not everywhere else. So we can say change access level. So now every time Alyssa is accessing her projects in Tuesday space, she will be able to visibly see all the projects and perform actions based on the permissions given to her as a business analyst. Okay, excellent. So we've done that. Now, as I mentioned, there are capabilities and limitations. So I've shown you the capabilities. You can manage your own members, their permissions within a space, custom fields. You can manage these custom fields. You can pick and choose from the global list, or you can create your own custom field here, as well as workflows. So you have more flexibility and segregation of these settings than you had previously, or that you currently have, I guess. All right, so time logs again is available to all of the users, project managers, administrators. So as a user, I can go in and add, let's say, okay, perfect. So let's go to Tuesday, and I'm going to add some hours. Okay, I'm going to log some hours. Let's go here and let's actually assign myself first. And then I'm going to add my time entry, and I'm going to say 3 hours. Okay. And perfect. Everything is golden, and I'll submit it. Okay. So if I go into time logs history, you will notice that I can see my time entry here, regardless of the project or the space it was in. So again, all of the time logs, the resource management, the reports, the dashboards, and business intelligence will consolidate all the information from individual spaces into one, right? So you don't have to go into individual spaces to get this information or log in time. As an administrator, as a project manager, it works out great just because, again, it's a one-stop shop for you to be able to view all the information that you need for all the resources, all the projects, and so on. Excellent. So that is time entries. Resources, as I had mentioned before, you can manage resources. It will show up how many people are assigned to how many projects, what is their capacity like, because again, we don't want to break this down by spaces just because, let's say Elisa is working, 8 hours for the next 5 days on a specific project. I should be able to see as a project manager or as an administrator, I should be able to see what's the number of projects, number of activities she's already scheduled for, so that if, let's say, I'm looking for that resource, I know that I'm not going to over allocate Elisa. So that is one benefit and capability, in a sense that you have all this information consolidated into one space, into your global accessibility. So you can make sound decisions on resource allocations. Same thing with reporting. You can pick up all the projects from different reports, different spaces, and see, all the results, track whether it's like project budget, project status, risk assessment, and so on and so forth, if, let's say, you have the new suite of Power BI reports. Same thing with dashboard and business intelligence. I'm not going to dive into it, but one more thing before I take on questions here is, if I go back to Activity Center, you can create saved views for your space specific. Let's say if I'm creating let's create a new saved view, and I say apply. So I'm going to have a space specific saved view. But if I go into main space, you will see that you won't be able to see Tuesday space specific saved view. So this is a nice way to kind of manage your views as well. Now, one thing is you can use spaces for your work purposes, as well as you can use spaces for your personal purposes, right? Let's say you have ad hoc activities or time tracking that you need to do for certain activities. You can create a space for yourself, not add any members, and you can manage that space yourself. So that is something that I personally do as well at my work, and it really helps me stay organized and effective throughout my workday. All right, so we have a question here. How do spaces affect the creation of saved views? I guess I just went through that without knowing. All right. How will you create a view showing the late activities for a particular assignee? So again, same thing. I go into my space and it'll populate. Okay. It is not specific to an assign. Oh, actually, you can create a saved view specific to your assignee for sure. You can simply say, okay, let's do a filter. Activity assignees, and in this case, let's say Elisa Southgate, and these are all the projects that she's working on, and tasks, right? So I can create a saved view, Elisa, and apply, right? So now, as a project manager, you can go in and be like, I need to see a saved view for each and every team member, or whatever metrics that you're looking for, right? Whether it is show me all the projects that are already late, or show me all the projects with end date, by customers, by assignees, priority status, etc. So you can really personalize your activity center saved view within Spaces based on your preference here. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So lastly, I just want to quickly overview that on January 23rd, we have another session where we will discuss product updates, specifically time entry enhancement, search engine enhancement, as well as our OneDrive integration. On January 24th, we have a webinar. It is a 1-hour webinar where we will going to recap the 2023 project management trends. As well as on January 30th, we have our mobile app session where we will demonstrate how you can use Easy Projects Birdview app on your phone to manage your projects effectively anywhere, any time of the day. Thank you again for being up. Oh, sorry, one last thing, probably the most important thing, workshops update. So starting February 1st of this year, all of our Birdview weekly workshops are now going to be hosted every first and third week of the month. The reason behind that is we are starting a new initiative, and you will receive an email for that as well. That way, this is one way we can make sure that you're getting the most of the Birdview and not overwhelmed with a lot of information here. So stay tuned for that new initiative. And if you are interested, you can definitely sign up, and you can go from there. So again, every first and third Tuesday for Birdview workshops, and then every second and fourth Tuesday is going to be another event or session for you guys to join. So now, thank you again for being a part of Birdview's knowledge sharing community. I do hope you found this session insightful. If you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at success@birdviewpsa.com. Or if you like, if you want to request any features that you'd like us to review, you can email at Success as well, and we will be happy to demonstrate those features and questions live in our workshop. Again, wish you all a very happy new year, and I hope to see you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.